I think for D2C, it's been so focused on brands owning the transaction, and I think it needs to become more about brands owning the relationship.
I'm Stephanie Paterik, editor-in-chief of The Current, and I have a really exciting guest in the studio today. Anna Stallings is Senior Director of Growth Marketing for Billie, which is a very popular personal care brand. Thank you for coming in to talk about retail with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Billie is an interesting brand because I think in many ways it has written its own playbook. It has gotten tremendous traction with Gen Z. How do you think about marketing and how are you doing it differently?
Yeah, I think at the core of it, we are our own consumers. And I mean that I think marketers sometimes get so caught up in the mechanics of marketing that they forget that they themselves first are consumers. And when you make that shift in mindset and that shift in thinking, there's so many things that change. You change the language that you use, the channels that you prioritize, and most importantly, you change the speed with which you respond to culture. And that speed, I think, has really served us, that trust that we have in the people and the teams that we've put together to respond in a timely manner to things that are happening that make sense for our brand. And hopefully at the end of the day, our customers really feel that dialogue that we're having with them instead of feeling like we're marketing at them.
You focus on growth in your role. I'm curious to know at this stage in the life of D2C as a category, what do you see as the biggest opportunities for growth?
Yeah, I think the redefinition of what the D part is in D2C, the direct part. I think for D2C, it's been so focused on brands owning the transaction, and I think it needs to become more about brands owning the relationship, and that's going to serve D2C brands really well as they start to expand beyond D2C, because they'll own beyond just their own site, they'll own how the brand is represented, building that brand loyalty, and just getting those consumers to recognize them versus trying to get the cheapest CPM to convert the consumer.
Yeah. Speaking of brand building, I think that a lot of D2C brands like Billie are so associated with influencer marketing and social media channels. Can you talk about how you view digital media on the whole and what other types of channels you're leveraging?
Yeah, we leverage everything. I always say, even though I'm the director of growth, there is growth everywhere. That means brand growth as well. So we're not siloed to just digital channels, siloed just to acquisition. We just did an out-of-home campaign. We're leveraging CTV as well, which is another space that's really getting smart from an ad tech perspective. So it's really going back to the first answer of, as a consumer, where are you? Where are you consuming media, and making sure that we're represented in all of those places.
So let's talk about innovation. Billie is a brand, like you said, that taps into culture. If you were to open up your trend spotting notes for me, what trends are you seeing coming down the pike that you think have the chance to be most transformative?
Yeah. I think one of the most exciting things about this industry, and maybe one of the hardest to sift through, is that there's so much innovation happening all the time. I know AI is a huge hot topic and we're dabbling in there, but something that has really drawn my attention, I think, is less of an innovation and more of an evolution of how brands are engaging with influencers. A year or so ago, maybe you saw it, there was that de-influencing trend.
Yes.
And I think it just really put a spotlight on how savvy consumers are nowadays and how much they expect from brands and partnerships and how much they need it to be real and make sense from their creators instead of just this pay-to-play landscape that it's become.
Do you have any tips or tricks to centering the consumer and not forgetting our own humanity in that equation?
There's so many buzzy words that pop up in marketing. I think, and I'll say it today, I'm sure, but authenticity and all of these buzzwords that pop up. And I think if you can kind of pinch yourself when that's happening and be like, what would I do if I was a consumer? Where would I shop? What would draw my eye? How quickly would I expect brands to insert themselves? Was it weird that a brand suddenly became part of a trend 7 weeks after it was happening, probably, and just really try and shake yourself out of this marketing mindset and put yourself in the consumer mindset.
I love ending on that note, and I really appreciate you coming in to talk about the space.